Hey guys, this is Kagomenesan again. I am making my second part to my line art tutorial that I started and already posted to my YouTube, shared on my Tumblr. This part I am actually using Photoshop to show how I do my line art, and I will be doing Lucy. Now, I honestly have no knowledge of any video editing software, so I really hope that this video does not turn out to be another 50 minutes, which is what my original video was before I figured out how to change it in Movie Maker on my iPad. Hopefully I won't have to do that because I'm going to try and do this as fast as possible because it did take me an hour to do the line art for Natsu, and I estimate that it's going to take me about the same for Lucy, just because, I don't know, I feel like she has a little bit more detail, and I'm probably going to try and put a little more effort into this. So anyway, to get started, I haven't changed anything. All I did was just export to file to my computer from my iPad in PSD format, which is a really cool thing about Procreate, is I can do that and not have to start all over or mess with any layers. It keeps everything intact. Now what I did do is I organized it a little better, because I would say for any artist, name and label your layers so you know what you're doing. So with what I have here, it always gives me a background, which is why, it's white and, it's not completely transparent. But all I did was I just put these in folders so I have my reference in the background so I can see, the sketch, so I can do the line art over it. And then I put all the different sections of Natsu's line art in a folder here so that I can edit that or remove that as I'm going and continuing with Lucy. I might just make it go away as I'm working on Lucy. So I created a new layer for her, and I have my little boundary that I made before I even started Natsu's line art. I'm probably going to redo that one, but I'm leaving it there for now, just so, actually no, I shouldn't put it there so I don't mess up anything. So okay, to get started, like I mentioned before in my previous video, always start with the faces. As far as what equipment I'm using my Wacom Cintiq. It's a 13-inch tablet with the pen that is included. Original tips, nothing special as far as the pen, but the Wacom itself is pretty dang special. It is pressure sensitive, just like the Apple Pencil with my iPad Pro, so that's why I really like Wacom. There are other more affordable pieces of equipment that you can use if you're just starting out. My sister has a Turocom, I think. She got it as a gift, but I've seen them for sale for like 50 bucks, so you don't have to get a Wacom. This particular one that I got when it first came out, so it was pretty pricey. It cost me an arm and a leg, that's all I'm going to say. But it cost me quite a bit, so it all depends on what you're comfortable paying with. When it comes to technology, the more you get what you pay for. So, if you spend a lot of money on something, it's going to be worth it in the long run. At least that's my opinion. But to the line art. So, as for the pen that I'm using, this is all what's standard in CS6. It's the version that I'm using for Photoshop. I choose this fourth pen right here, and the reason that I do that is it's very similar to the technical pen that I use in Procreate. So, you'll see me doing my Control-Z to undo and stuff, but I can easily taper if I'm barely putting any pressure into making it thicker if I try harder later on, so that's why I use this particular tip. My other tips that I have, if I choose this one, it's just the same. Even though I'm putting a lot of pressure and then I'm not, it's got the exact same thickness, so that's why I choose this one. As for the size, before I started recording, I looked over at Natsu and I kind of drew next to that line art to see what I would like as I'm doing Lucy, just to make sure that it's uniform, because obviously I don't want Lucy's line art to be really, really thick and then Natsu, kind of looking wonky there. So I'm going with 6 pixels right there. So, and of course I'm keeping my hardness at 100. So, I'm guessing hardness is like opacity. So, anyway, to actual doing line art. So, I will be starting with the eyes, and it has been a long time since I drew with my actual tablet, my Wacom, because I had it in pawn for a while, so I apologize if I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes here, but I'll try and hopefully, you know, come up with something that makes sense to you guys. I hope you guys like watching it. I'm probably going to just stop the audio and speed it up a little bit so I don't take an hour as I'm doing this line art, because last time I was taking an hour while doing it, but talking a lot most of the time, because I talk a lot. So anyway, yeah, here we go. So actually starting it. I do not like it already. I don't like it. It's been so long since I've used this. Okay. So very similar to how I was mentioning on my last video, to get those lines, you know, to prevent them from becoming really jagged, I try to make my fast, swift motions. As I mentioned before, I find that the faster I use the pen, the better it looks, at least to me, in my opinion. So, what am I using? How am I using that? Probably would be a good idea not to use a tapering eraser there. Yeah, this video is definitely going to be a lot longer, just because it's so alien to me right now, because I haven't used Photoshop in so long. And I'm lagging. So this is why I use my tablet, my iPad, more than I actually use Photoshop, because my computer, I feel, is on its last leg. It sometimes will create a lot of lag and not even recognize that I am putting pressure on the work itself, so it looks weird, like that crazy eyelash right there. So, yeah, this is definitely going to take a lot of patience on my part, and I am typically not a patient person, so I will say, when I'm making my dojins, like my Fairy Tale Passion, I do use Photoshop, and the reason being is one thing Procreate does not have is I cannot create perfectly linear boxes and speech bubbles. I do use Photoshop for that purpose. I would say, like, my manga making skills are really poor when it comes to what others are capable of doing. I'm still learning a lot when it comes to making that dojin. But, yeah, I can't figure out a comfortable way to do it on Procreate, so what I do is I sketch the picture on Procreate and what's going to be in every single panel, but when it's ready for pixelizing the actual art, like the shadows and stuff, I'll use my color halftone and pixelize it to make it look like I'm halftoning the whole entire page. I have to use Photoshop because I just can't figure out how to do it on Procreate. Yeah, it looks good. And if I pull Natsu up, it looks a little bit thicker. I might turn it down just a bit just to make sure. I'm going to do the eye the same way, though. I'll just say that she has really pretty mascara on. That's why her eyes look a little bit thicker than Natsu's. I will say one thing I really like about using this particular tablet when I am working with any art editing software is the hotkey buttons on the side of the Wacom pencil or pen or whatever you want to call it. It has two buttons and an actual eraser on the back, so if I wanted to, instead of going over to the side menu and selecting the eraser option, I could just flip my Wacom pen over and erase using the artificial eraser that is included to make it feel like you are actually working with a pencil. So that is one thing I really do like about this tablet. It is unique to the tablet. I haven't seen others like out there. The one that my sister has doesn't have that option, and when I had pawned mine to pay my rent one month, I was using her tablet and instinctively turning my pen around like a silly, and obviously it wasn't working. I was like, why is it? Oh, because it's not my tablet. Yeah, duh. So I will say I enjoy that a lot about this particular product. I definitely recommend it. Now at this point, since it's been years well, about a year I think, since this particular model has been out, you can find it relatively cheap or even buy them used. They're still pretty good products there, so if you guys are looking for something that gives that effect, I don't know why it's so far off. But yeah, I definitely would recommend it. My hotkeys on the side of the pencil, because not only does it have that eraser, but it has a couple of hotkeys on the side of it, where your thumb typically rests if you're holding a pencil normally. I have my hotkeys set to bring up my side menu for my pen, so I can quickly select and change the size and the opacity and the actual tip. And then my other one is just my pen. It hotkeys back to my pen, so if I were to select my eraser, I would just press that button and it goes right back to my pen. So I really enjoy that. And you can set those to whatever you want. It doesn't have to be the settings that I have. My shortcut for it is B. But you can set them to be like the eraser. You can set it to be your undo. I've seen people do that, and that is a brilliant, smart thing to do. I'm just not a brilliant, smart person sometimes. But definitely recommend that. I think it's lagging right now again. There we go. Yeah, it's lagging again. So at this point, yeah, I'm really going to actually mute myself so that I can go ahead and get this done. If I have any commentary, I'll just add it after the fact. I'll probably edit this video with the same editor I did my last one. So that way you guys don't have to deal with my frustration with the lag, because I probably will say a couple of very unprofessional words, and I'm going to try and be a good person and not say those for my audience. But yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what was going on with the recorder that I was using. It was doing some weird stuff that I didn't notice until after the fact, like popping up with the little bubbles, like saying click here or control. Everything that I was doing, it was like walking you through it, which I guess isn't a bad thing. I just particularly didn't like it. So what I did is I kept going, but I used a different recording program, but unfortunately it only records the actual canvas and not my pen strokes and what I was selecting and all that. But honestly, there wasn't anything different that I was doing in terms of what pen I was using, what eraser I was using. I was using the exact same stuff as I was before in the beginning of the video. So right now, what you're seeing is just a recapture of the finished line art that I am doing. I'm almost done with it. I did use a reference for the guild mark that I'm going to add on to Lucy's hand, and it's saved with my signature that I'll put on later. I'm not sure if I'm going to be coloring this one like I mentioned in my previous video. If you guys are interested in seeing me color it, just comment, and depending on how much I get, I might do it. I have a lot on my plate in terms of what I am doing, so I'm not quite sure. But I hope you guys liked this tutorial. This was obviously a little bit different than the previous program that I was using, because Lucy's line art does look a little bit thicker, but it turned out okay. I think I like it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope this was helpful. And if you guys are interested in seeing more videos from me, just let me know. Most likely I'm just going to do it on Procreate, because recording on my PC was very exhausting. So thank you guys again, and I want to thank all of my watchers and followers. I just hit over 900 on my Tumblr, and I am completely and totally elated at that. I cannot believe that 900 people or different profiles or what have you were actually following my stuff. So I definitely thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.